Okay, so now we've talked about a half roll, we've talked about a full roll, and now we're going to talk about another way we move the launch point, and that's with our bootleg series. We'll talk about some of the routes that we run on this, but what we want to talk about here is just we're keeping it simple for our linemen, right? We do have a few different protections, but it seems pretty simple what we're doing. This one is simple as well, as this one is just where we're asking our linemen to run essentially our zone series. So all we want to do is run our zone series. We're running stepping inside, and then we're going to get a backside guard, and we're going to get him out and be the personal protector for our quarterback here. All right. So it's simply down, down, down. The tackle away from the boot is going to come in, and he's going to sickle just like he does on the power. And then our back, who's going to get the fake, is responsible for that B gap right here and just setting in here and making sure that nobody runs through that gap where that vacated guard position would be. Our boot rules, real quick. These are our default rules. Anytime the side of the boot that we're running it to, our most outside receiver has got a more route. He's got a mandatory 40-yard dash. He is never to look back unless, number one, he has a tag on his route, which could be a comeback, which could be a post, which could be a post corner. If he doesn't get a tag or his man doesn't fall down, he just blows the top off the coverage, and we call it a mandatory outside release 40-yard dash. Our number two receiver, no matter where he's coming from, in this particular instance, he's coming from the backfield. Our number two receiver has a flat route. If he's going to run out of bounds, he's going to run out of bounds at 3 yards. All right. If he's a number two receiver outside here, he's going to run a whip out. The whip out is going to be four steps inside. He's going to press inside, and he's going to run out of bounds at 3 yards. The number three receiver, no matter where he comes from, in this particular instance, he's coming from a tight end position. He's going to go under the first defender, and he's going to climb. He's going to get 12 to 14 yards, and he runs what we call a shadow route. All right? The shadow route is a little bit different than an over route in that wherever the quarterback sets up, we want him to set up. If the quarterback is forced to set up inside that guard's block, we want him to set up right where the quarterback is at. We want him to become a security blanket, and we want the quarterback to know he's got a guy with him every time. If the quarterback breaks contain, then the shadow route is going to break contain. Quarterback sets up, he's going to set up. And then our backside receiver is always going to have that backside post. The only time you wouldn't have a backside post is if we post that front side receiver, and then that becomes either a comeback or a dig somewhere where he's going to set up. So let's take a look at our boot series. Again, this is just another way we can move our quarterback. What's the difference? The difference is, number one, we have a protector by our guard, and we have a little play action fake as well. Okay, let's talk about our receivers first, and we'll get to the line blocking here. So we're talking about changing a launch point on our boot game. This launch point can be either setting up over the offensive tackle because of what happened with our guard, or we can break contain. That's all going to be dependent on how the defense plays us. All right. We'll talk about that once we get to the end zone copy. But here we're going to talk about right now, we're going to talk about our patterns on our boot. The boot is going to the right. The outside receiver has got a mandatory outside 40-yard dash, blow the top off the coverage. The number two receiver, which happens to be right now in the slot, whenever you're in the slot, you have a 4-yard whip out. The number three receiver here has got a 12 to 14-yard shadow route. And our backside receiver has a post route. All right. Our quarterback's progression is sneak a peek at the more route If nothing's there, we're going 1 to the flat, 2 to the shadow, and 3 to the post. Let's take a look at it. Quarterback comes out, fakes inside zone left, looks to his progression, one's open, get him the ball. So reasons we would run this instead of running our sprint out or our half roll. Number one, this is going to go ahead and freeze these linebackers here with the play action. What we were doing before, they weren't freezing them. We see some of these guys just sprinting out every real quick. All right, what we'll do is we'll go to our boot game. This will freeze those guys. Take a look at what's happened here. They're going to take a couple steps up. Exactly what we want. Quarterback comes, gets his first option open, throw the football. Changes the launch point, nice easy throw. Take a look at our offensive line. Just like they would run power down or our zone game that way, they got the inside gap, filling for the guard right here, inside gap. Now our guard is going to come out, and he's going to run a sickle pull. All right, he's going to try to go ahead and get this guy inside, this defensive end inside if he can, so we can get outside, but there's times where this defensive end's not going to allow it. If the defensive end comes down hard, we're going to kick it out. Now, coaching point. On our boot series, it is very important that our quarterback is deliberate with this fake. That's going to allow this all here to clear up. If he goes too fast, he's going to get out there at the same time the guard is, and he's not going to be able to go ahead and decipher if he should pull up or get out. Either way, we don't care what the quarterback does. If he stays in a pocket, that's fine. If he gets out, that's fine. We just want him to make sure that he's able to read the guard. Coaching point for the back. Because we are moving and getting this guard out, this back now must replace that pulling guard. Become part of the line, and everything is now exactly how we want it in regards to our protection. Our pulling guard sees that we can go ahead and pin him. We do, and we get nice, clear vision for the quarterback to get out of the pocket. Nice, easy throw. Such benefits for moving a launch point. We really like doing a lot of these things to be able to get the quarterback on the run. Nice, easy throw. Okay, different formation. This is going to be just a little bit different in regards to the protection. We'll show you why. But still, we're faking inside zone. Our back should do a better job of sitting inside, number 70 here. He goes outside. That's really not his job. His first job is A gap, B gap, and then the C gap. Here comes our guard pulling out. All right. Quarterback's got to do a little bit better job of being deliberate. Guard does a decent job of knowing now I can't go ahead and pin him. I'm going to have to kick him out. We schemed this up because we knew this type of defense was going to have an extra rusher off the edge. So what we did was we took our H-back, we put him in motion. He was going to be responsible for the first guy off the edge. And now our guard was going to be responsible for the second guy off the edge. We needed this to happen because this was a shot that we were going to take off our boot series. All right. So the shot was going to be a one-man post right here, hoping to get this tight end in the vision of the safety and take a shot over the top. And that's exactly what happens here. But again, we had to scheme it up a little bit different and you may have to do the same thing with an extra blocker coming to help on the boot. We get him taken care of on the end, and now we get the pulling guard on the outside linebacker. Quarterback does a really nice job of setting up and getting the ball up top, taking a shot over the top off our bootleg series. From the end zone, here comes our extra blocker. He takes care of the end, which would be taken care of normally by our guard. Our guard now is able to pick up the +1 they had on us on the edge. Back needs to fit in first A gap, then the B, and then the C. And you can see here, the quarterback does a good job of solidifying a real good vision point for him to be able to take the shot over the top.